How are we doing, guys? We'll show our lineup like usual. We'll also show the spread picks here in a few minutes. But I figured since we can almost do a year in review since we're at the end of the year because we did have some big individual splits this year, even though our show pick hasn't turned out as well as we will do some playoff coverage, I think, as well if these guys are down for it. But until then, I'll swing it over to Donnie. He can update the spreads for us, and we can go from there.
It was an interesting week. Again, we are show pick as a group, which means week 18 it comes down to are we dying? Are we hitting that 500 mark finally this year? We've been chasing it all season long. 8 and 9 is the closest we've been, I believe. Maybe we were 6 and 7 at one point, but it's been rough. Overall, Gov, another 2-game loss on the slate.
I'm not having a good year.
Yeah, not a good year.
You can just scroll through and look at my stuff and be like,
14, 19, and 1 for Gov this year. Not great, but hey, the 2-time champ. What I don't know if 2.
Speaking of having a rough time, Donnie's having a rough time with his internet tonight, so I'll fill in until he's back.
14, 19, and 1. Yeah, that's not great.
No.
Logan's best season, I believe, at 18 and 16 so far. And I have sealed up the Super Bowl captain pick at 22 and 12.
So any idea who it might be, Donnie? You want to make any big Super Bowl predictions?
You don't got to say anything. Just like you should be thinking about who it would be depending on the team. Like, I know me.
Yeah, Kyle Juszczyk, lock.
San Fran gets in, Juszczyk is a lock. If it's Philly, Goddard is a lock.
If it's the Patriots,
no matter who they're against.
No.
I was going to say, as your Patriots fan, are you going to go totally homer? You're going to go Drake May, or are you going to go like deep cut because you're such a fan?
No one's getting picked for the Patriots, I can tell you that.
I think your internet's stable now.
Yeah. And point is, it's a long season.
Yeah.
We got a lot to look forward to.
There's still a lot of playoffs.
Yeah.
Now, week 18, there's nothing. Absolutely nothing. This is a waste mind of a week of NFL football.
It does seem to be getting worse and worse. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting older and just used to it, but it just feels like there's like less important games in my DFS career, if you will, the later into the year. Like every year just seems to be like more and more drain on the important games at the end of the year. I don't know. Maybe it's the Saturday games and like them just putting all the important games on the main, the kind of island showdowns, and so the main slate just feels less important because that really is a thing. But it just feels like, man, you really have to dive through incentives and different like weird motivations, and like there is an edge to that if that is your thing. And I do think someone's going to capitalize and make quite a bit of money on Sunday. It's just a different game, though. To pretend like it's the same game, I think, would be a mistake. And is that something that you're weighing really heavily, Logo? Is it incentives? Are you like weighting narratives like the Chicago-Detroit game with it being Dan Campbell versus Ben Johnson? Like, where do you go there?
That's the thing. Like, the 3 biggest games that need to be played this week, they somehow were able to flex them to a more prime time. Like Tampa Bay, Carolina is Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
With I forget which one it is on Saturday night. Is that Pittsburgh, Baltimore?
No, it's Seattle and
that's the Seattle San Fran game, and then Pittsburgh, Baltimore is Sunday night football.
It's Sunday night, yeah.
So like those are the three most important games of Week 18. Everything else is kind of just like maybe for seeding, maybe for incentives, maybe for nothing. Maybe draft picks.
I think that's what it does. That's what happened to me. Is like all these island games are they're very fun to watch, and I'm glad that they get a kind of a spotlight. But it makes the DFS game very very complicated.
Well, even as a fan, if you're just watching as a football fan, it's complicated because you have to watch in such a mathematical.
I'll finish your point then until you get back. But I think you were basically saying like it's a mathematical equation because like the Rams will have something to play for if Seattle loses or they win. I can't remember which, but like there's a bunch of different player math based on who wins and who loses. So you're right.
Yeah, well, and the Patriots and Broncos are playing at the same time. That's huge for seeding. If the Bucs win, now the Bucs fans have to wait till the Saints play. It's all math at this point.
Yeah, the Chargers, for example, ruled all the starters. Like Jim Harbaugh was the first coach to basically say like he doesn't want to play anyone, even if there's like a slight cramp or a muscle contusion at all, like basically a bruise. He wants to sit everyone. So it looks like we're gonna get Trey Lance and Tanner McKee. Looks like he could get a start for Philadelphia. So we could see a lot of like college prospects and quality backups.
Eagles are going to play. Eagles are playing for 2 seed.
I don't know. I heard they might rest, and then like everyone's probably going to flock to more recognizable names like Jimmy Garoppolo. So it's going to be interesting how that all pans out. I'll show our live just so people will see for transparency purposes. I believe it was this one.
It's the only Taysom Hill. That's not it.
Oh, that's right. I put it in the 5-inch max one. So if I pull any 5-inch, it will show up. Let's see. Wasn't our worst lineup. Wasn't our best.
No.
You had it.
No,
the one above
was
this.
the top one.
Was it?
Okay. Yep. That's the Taysom.
Oh, I know.
Taysom.
I know. Everything failed for me. All my picks snowflakes. Literally all my picks are snowflakes. That's gross.
I don't know if we would have replaced. I mean, obviously the tight end you could have just said it would have been Mayer. He got 17, so it's like could we have found a cheap guy to get like 10 or 11 points to min cash? Maybe. It also hurt to pay that much for the Bucs and only get 3 points. Like there was more than just a few mistakes. I feel like this is a bad lineup, and usually I'll like try to be optimistic. I felt like this one, we had a chance basically because of Chase Brown, but I didn't think this was a good lineup.
I don't even remember drafting this.
Yeah,
this was it.
This is the weird. Like I don't even remember. How did we get?
We all felt good coming out of this.
Did I pick both Chases and T-Law?
Picked. Well, no, I think I picked T-Law. I forced T-Law.
Oh, that's right.
I remember picking T-Law or
you. You did both the Chases.
Yeah.
I have both Chases.
And then
I picked Mayer.
Both Chases and AJ Brown, I believe.
Yeah.
Or Barkley.
Did I pick AJ Brown?
It was Brown or Barkley, one of the two.
I might have picked Barkley. See, I might not have picked Chase Brown. I might have picked. I don't even remember.
You definitely picked the. Yeah, no, we definitely were talking about it.
I know
like different.
Jamar Chase. I did pick Jamar Chase. I definitely picked Jamar Chase. That one I know. That one I know.
You picked Chase Brown.
That was my first pick. Was Jamar Chase. I know that.
I know you had to pick Chase Brown because he was not in my player pool at all, and I'm glad he was there because he was obviously the only flame.
I played him. I should have played more of him. But I played 3 lineups, so at most I usually only play a guy in 2 lineups. I try not to be 100%.
This lineup just spitting, honestly, is just my fault. Like, I made some really bad plays this week for us. I picked Taysom. I picked one of the Eagle snowflakes, and that killed us either way.
But I'll tell you this, I played a really good play in Mayer, basically, on his price because he was 2,500, like he was very cheap. And I played him in almost every lineup, and I didn't return any bit of cash on the main slate, not one bit. So, yeah, there was some snowflakes in this lineup, but I'll tell you, unless you had to have Chase Brown and Mayer, I think, and it was just one of those weeks where you had to have like a collection of like 4 or 5 players to cash, and we definitely didn't have it.
There was a lot of players that went off randomly, like just not in my player pool, random guys.
Yeah, but I mean, I had other lineups with T-Law and Mayer, and they both flamed, and I didn't cash. I will say Taysom Hill did get some opportunities early in this game. I went back and rewatched it, and it just didn't happen. It was obviously narrative street. So, but it wasn't a bad attempt. I mean, he was cheap enough. It's the upside play. It just
he got some carries. He didn't get the targets. That's the big thing.
Yeah. Another thing that really is just unfortunate is Trevor Lawrence missed Brian Thomas on a long touchdown in this game as well. Just overthrew Brian Thomas. He probably would have finished around 25 points still, but Brian Thomas obviously would have probably had maybe 14 or 15, maybe even 20, given the yardage post a touchdown. Who knows what would have happened there. But like I said, I made a mistake because I played Mayer, saved up all this money, saved up all this cap. I'm like, yeah, I felt really good about the play. He actually missed the bonus, which would have been even nicer. But I used all that money for the Buccaneers defense, and they just did not play well at all. So as luck would have it, this lineup just was not destined to do well. Did you guys have any individual sweats this week that you wanted to talk about?
Not really. I know. Can you just pull up the scores from this contest or no? Like the actual players? I know you can on the phone. I don't know how to do it on this. It would be recent contest.
You're not able to pull up single players like you can on, unfortunately.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. Like Wan'Dale Robinson going off for 11, 113. Come on. Let's be real.
I can tell you the lineup, though.
Mondre, obviously. Parker Washington goes off. These are guys that got ownership.
Yeah.
But I wasn't there. I wasn't there ever. And
Diggsy, Wan'Dale. Parker Washington was the guy to go with T-Law. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, and I was all over that Patriots game when the receivers got injured. I just went to the stars and scrubs route. I just went with a cheaper, Williams. And this was an instance where you should have just paid up for the consistency in Diggs. It's kind of unfortunate because whenever Diggs has been on the field this year for the Patriots, he's performed. It's just his snap count hasn't been he hasn't got that number one wide receiver usage. But when he does play, he plays well. And this is probably a week where I should have leaned more into that data and just played him, and I didn't.
Well, if you play the blowout narrative,
it's true.
That blowout narrative doesn't scream Diggs to me. I don't know. So I never was on it. I actually played him in a personal, but I also played the showdown, and that's where I made my money this week on showdown.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I had Efton Chisholm in my lineup, so I obviously was going to cash.
Double New England, no Drake May. You stacked T-Law with Parker Washington.
Well, I was actually going to bring that up because
again, a double New England, double Cincinnati, but then you single stack T-Law. You single stack T-Law, and then you pair the cheap, chalky tight end with a wide receiver from the same game that wouldn't be highly up. Yep. I actually had a lot of Wan'Dale because of Genty and Michael Mayer being chalky.
It's kind of like what I asked you when we were building that lineup. We're going to go with Trevor Lawrence, but we're also going to play 2 Cincinnati Bengals. We're going to play 2 Eagles, and you're like, it can hit. And this was an idea of that lineup hitting. Obviously, ours did not. But
obviously, that Brian Thomas instead of Parker Washington, I think he would have been fine with Jacoby as well. But it is what it is. That's just The chalk hit, I guess. If you look at the ownership, the chalk just hit.
Yeah. These are all people and really 40%. What is that? 40%? Really?
45% Chase.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chase was high owned.
He's the worst player in the lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At his price.
That's what I mean. Like, you got Mayer under
60 yards and 7 for 60 and 2 tutties is bad. It's actually a floor game for Chase.
And that's why I was mad, because Mayer just screams stars and scrubs, Gov and Donnie, and that's how I build. And I'm like, you know what? He's coming off a high-profile college career. Like, Mayer's not just this like hopeful guy. He's shown promise in high-level college and then shown some promise in the league when he's given a chance. So I'm like, if I can just lock that in. So I locked it in everywhere. You would think I came away with some money this week, but nope.
Well, he's awesome, I think. It's just, if you told me the Raiders scored 10, I don't think Michael Mayer gets there. So that's a weird hindsight of it.
Yeah.
Unless he gets a touchdown, but 20 points almost from him, that's insane. Yeah. And Greg Dulcich went off. Like, there was just some weird guys who went off this week.
But that's what I'm saying. Even when the insanity goes your way, like, I played 100% of them. There was no chance I was not going to play any of them. I even played double tight end and still didn't cash. Like, that just shows you the chalk and how much hit this week. I will say, though, just as the end of the year kind of discussion, I really love this thought exercise that we do, bringing our player pools together. Obviously, we haven't had any big wins as a unit, but individually, we've all had our moment in the sun where we really capitalized. This last week, I actually finished second in a showdown using a lot of the same principles we talked about on the show. Donnie finished first in a showdown earlier this year. So you just never know when that shot's going to come. Gov, obviously, and Gov in a different format, which we covered a little bit on the show before. In Dynasty, you took first place in that high-stakes league. So, like, I've always said it, and I hope this proves it. I'll show the lineup for myself just so you guys can see that you should take shots on goal. Like, you're not going to win consistently week to week if you're doing things right. But when you win, you want to capitalize on it. And you'll see with this lineup, like I say, with Gov having his Dynasty win, you just want to invest in as much football knowledge that you have and put it in smart ways. And I feel like we did that. Unfortunately, none of those times were on the show. And it's unfortunate, Donnie, because you talk about how we should do more showdown slates. And we just haven't had the time to always be on the show at the same time. But we are successful this year. People might not believe it because they look at our receipts, and it doesn't always show. So I wanted to show this lineup as well and give the shout out to the guys who've been successful this year. Has there been anything surprising for you this year, Gov?
There's a few surprises. I was sort of like the up and down of Indy this year has been insane.
Yeah, I was actually
7-1 and then 1-7.
Yeah. I was going to mention that just from a fantasy perspective of Jonathan Taylor. Like, the first couple weeks of Jonathan Taylor, you got him in the second round, you were thinking, like, he's a league winner. Like, there's no chance that Jonathan Taylor's not going to carry me to $1 million.
This team's golden. Week 3, week 4, no problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Then you get the blow up of Kyle Pitts and just like, oh, maybe he's the lucky guy you have to have. And then, like, JSN was, like, the really good receiver that got sneaky. But even, like, in the later stages of the playoffs, he faded too. Like, he started kind of that Jonathan Taylor run where he was really hot in the beginning of the year.
And in truth, all you had to do was draft a really good team around Bijan.
Go figure, right?
You were good.
Yeah.
You drafted the right
Bijan team sucked.
You drafted probably the right 8 to 9 dudes. You got a Bijan around Bijan. You probably got a team through.
Yeah, but my Bijan team had Drake London and Michael Penix. You bastard.
My Bijan team had Kyle Pitts and Michael Penix. So I lost last round.
To be fair, you might have got a lot of Michael Penix teams through because if you stack the Falcons at the right time in best ball, like between Kyle Pitts and Bijan, you probably did pretty well.
My Bijan team made it like it got eliminated immediately because it had Garrett Wilson in it. I think it's honestly a testament to how good that team was with the injuries.
Yeah.
What could have been. I think I saw something that said Garrett Wilson still led the Jets in receiving yards, and it's only like 400. I don't know if that stat range true, but that's disgusting.
I saw it. Well, it can't be because I saw a stat that said they had no 400-yard receiver.
Yeah, but he has 390 something. Sorry, I rounded up.
Okay, I didn't see any stat, and I still don't believe it because of the Jets, and they've just been terrible.
400 yards is awful, by the way.
Yeah.
That's
exactly. No receiver had even 400 yards in a season for the Jets. God awful.
No.
Bad football.
Maybe this is bad podcasting, speaking of bad, but I will say the stat just because I thought it was quite crazy. I was listening to Davis Maddox podcast today, and he was saying that of the teams that finished in the top 10 in DraftKings best ball, none of them had Derrick Henry, which is crazy because I know in Dynasty goes, your big win was because of Derrick Henry. But so it's just crazy the amount of like high voltage players that actually did really good but still weren't in the winning lineup. And then like Sam Sherman, who won the $1 million contest, who was on Chip Chasing, another show I used to watch, he didn't have any Bijan Robinson. Going into Monday Night Football, he's sweating basically Puka and Kyle Pitts, thinking Bijan's not a threat because he's over 100 points behind him, essentially. And then Bijan just rips off, massive gains and is actually a threat. So at the end of that,
what did Bijan score last night? Was it? It had to.
It was like high, almost 50. I want to say. I know he finished in the second person's contest or second lineup, essentially a second place lineup, and he was 6 points away from
43. 43 was the number. Wow.
Yeah. So imagine just crossing off all the big, superstars' names, thinking like, okay, these are the guys I'm sweating for $1 million. You're not even thinking about Bijan Robinson. You're like, he's so far behind, and he goes out and has almost a Gibbs-like performance.
Because he gets within the point where it's like, well, now if Bijan gets a random touchdown, I lose.
Yeah,
6 points is like that's the death zone in football.
And
I really hate to say it, but the death zone in fantasy football, where you're sweating, is 6-7.
So I got a question. Is there a 200-yard bonus for points? Do you get a 200-yard bonus?
No.
An extra 3? You don't? I wasn't sure.
In my dynasty, you lost it. I actually lost 3 points on Derrick Henry when that happened.
What? How?
It was a weird glitch where like he hadn't clicked it to have 3 points over 199, thinking, oh, that's going to double bonus you, but it just took away the bonus when he hit 200 yards.
So when that glitches go, are you like freaking out, or you're like, this will get?
If I'd have lost by 3 points, I'd have been freaking out.
Yeah.
Like if I would have lost by 3 points after that, I would have been like, hey yo, what's going on here?
I think you used to watch Chip Chasing a lot, and Sam used to be on that show. God, he sweated the whole sweat.
I watched it with Pete in that. I watched part of it with Pete too.
I was impressed with that man. Like I've known that man. He's cold as ice, man. He's like as calm and as analytical as you can imagine. Like a beautiful guy, but the amount of heat that must have been radiating off his body was just nerves, and the way he like stayed composed, I was really impressed. And that celebration at the end was just wholesome, by the way. If no one's watched that, they should. That was a wholesome moment between him and his dad. But yeah, dude, like, I can't imagine watching the defense pick the ball off and being like, I don't want them to get tackled, because if they get tackled, the likelihood that Bijan Robinson costs me $1 million as he runs into the end zone. So you're literally cheering for them to return touchdown. Like the sweat is just, I could only dream, I guess, to be in a position like that, but that was pretty amazing to watch. And then it made me think, like, okay, so if we had to explain fantasy football to like casuals and like Wait, you're cheering for the Falcons? No, I'm not cheering for the Falcons, but I want the Falcons to do good because I don't want this one running back to do well. It made me really think like, wow, some people must really think you're nutty just if they follow
Oh
like
yeah, oh yeah. When you start talking like that, it's like, okay,
yeah.
that's a little bad. I get it.
Different sides of the rooms.
Yeah, I can only imagine just trying to explain that to someone. So, was there anything else from this week? Anything you're looking? I just want to fast forward this week. I know the incentives will be fun. There'll probably be some like really deep narratives that I can really get entrenched in because I'm one of those guys. Like when I get into something, I get really deep into it. So maybe by like Thursday or Friday, I'm like soaking up all the incentive news and all the bonuses, and I'm ready to go. Hopefully that happens for our Friday show. But I got to be honest, right now I'm just waiting for the playoffs. Like playoff DFS is my favorite. I'm also biased because that's when I won the most money.
Lots of showdowns, lots of 2-game, 2-day slates, multi-game. Yeah.
Now,
are you playing light this week then, Logan, or are you just playing irregular?
I am playing a little lighter. Like I said I was going to play lighter, and I guess I have.
I will be playing lighter myself.
I might play a little lighter too because I just know the playoffs. I'm going to treat myself a bit.
I might play lighter in DFS, but because of incentives, I might make more sports bets.
That makes sense. That makes 100% sense.
Yeah.
Diggs 30 yards, I think, is a lock this week.
Putting that in the parlay.
Now, I will say, I've been a Trey Lance guy, and I'm not afraid to admit it. I think he's going to have a Sam Darnold-like moment at some point in his career. Maybe I'm wrong. So, like, I'm excited for this Chargers because, like, he looked good in the
I am such a big Chargers fan this week, Logan. You have no idea.
Well, I am too.
And if they disappoint me, I get to see them get beat down on next week. So that's fine.
I'm telling you, I've been a fan of Trey Lance's talent, like his upside, his potential. And then he actually looked good in the preseason. He's with a coach that believes in him, you know. Like Jim's had that Colin Kaepernick like magic. I'm like, so he looked good in the preseason. I'm like, this is his chance. I want to bet it, and especially with him being the underdog. I'm just like,
Dallas believed in him. They gave him a lot of chances. Jerry really did believe in him.
Yeah, but I think Jerry's just a bad guy to believe. Like, if Jerry believes in you, it might be a bad sign.
Oh, you're not helping.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
Okay. Yeah. I've come. Yeah.
I'm just saying, if Jerry Jones co-signs anything, I don't know.
If Jerry Jones believes in a player, he probably saw him in the showers.
If Jerry Jones is on your side, you did something.
Yeah, it might be good. Pickens had a good year this year, but does that give you any confidence in next year? That's kind of the Jerry Jones roller coaster in a nutshell for me.
Greatest contract year season, arguably ever, from George Pickens. Talk about a guy who's earning the bag.
Wow.
Another guy that won't get enough credit, but really probably earned himself a contract, but won't get it because he's locked up and maybe won't be able to repeat, is also Parker Washington. Like, I know he was in the main lineup that we just showed. If you told me that Parker Washington was like an actual like weapon for a playoff team, like just a couple weeks ago, I'd be like, that's crazy. And I was a Jags guy. I think I was the highest on the Jags in our season preview. Before we get out of here, Donnie, since the season preview is your thing, when do you kind of want to do that so we can prep the people so we can get the news out? We did our season preview obviously before.
I think that's an off-season show after the Super Bowl, maybe the Pro Bowl week probably.
That sounds about right. Because I'm with you. For the playoffs, I want to dive right in because I really do think.
I think Pro Bowl week makes sense the week before the Super Bowl. But
do we want to do playoff brackets here as soon as for like maybe next Tuesday after everything's settled?
We could do that.
I would 100% want to do a playoff bracket. Yes.
All right.
By the way, just quickly, are you playing any playoff basketball, Gov?
I haven't done any yet, and that's probably bad.
I just feel like mathematically, like because it's such a mathematical game of probability, you'd probably be the best at it. You or Donnie, because you guys are really into data and analytics. I'm more of an emotional feels guy, so I think I'm going to stay away because it really is a race of to see how many players you can get in the Super Bowl, right? Like it's really a math problem.
I don't love that format.
It's a weird construction because you need to be able to field a team in every round, including the Super Bowl. Your team is a quarterback, a running back, a wide receiver, and I think 2 flexes.
I think so. I know in some format it's.
But I know it's 5. I know it's 5.
Yeah.
So.
How many picks is it? Do you know?
These are 6-man pods, and I believe you get.
Is it?
I want to say 12 to 15. I think it's 15.
So this week, when you're like banking on like Carolina, or like this is the week to get it when you don't know who's playing when.
Yeah, and you've been able to draft before. There are people right now
with Detroit
Holmes teams. Yeah. There are people right now with Detroit teams. There are people right now with.
But this is a week where you could have the most. You could have the most conviction, and there's still some stuff up in the air.
Yeah,
where it's like if you're right, you're gonna be ahead of the curve.
And then some of the things you have to think about, like there are people right now who have teams where they thought the Rams were going to be the 1 seed, so they planned on not needing Puka or Kyren until round 2 because you won't need them in round 1. That's the thing. You got to draft team. You got to have 5 players in the Super Bowl while being able to field 5 players in every round, including a round where there's 2 teams on bye who are likely to be in the Super Bowl.
See, that's why I wanted to do this discussion live because I knew we'd break Donnie's brain and it was going to be fun to watch. Like I can just see the wheel spinning, Donnie. This is fun for me.
That's the thing. You can't just stack 3. You kind of got to like. To be fair, what I've seen is the best thing to do is stack your team from either conference that you think is making the Super Bowl.
Right.
Whatever you go into the draft and whatever the draft gives you, you stack one team from that conference with at least 3 or 4 dudes so that you have a Super Bowl core for that team. Then draft 1 or 2 secondary dudes from that conference and then try to get 2 different stacks from the other conference.
So essentially you're waiting to see what the draft room does.
You don't know if you have the 1st pick or the 5th pick or the whatever.
But you basically
want you're going to get. You don't know if you're going to get McCaffrey, you don't know if you're going to get Puka, you don't know if you're going to get like who you taking number 1, who's in the playoffs right now. Like it all depends on that stuff. I haven't looked at the ADPs, but like if you get an NFC team and you want to stack an NFC team and that's the one you have conviction on, okay, stack that NFC team, get a couple of one-offs from other NFC teams,
but
and then make sure you get 2 AFC teams stacked up.
Exactly.
And just focus on stacking those teams. Try not to get any one-offs in the AFC if you're doing the big NFC. If you're doing the big AFC stack that you want to get, maybe you want to get New England. It's fully stacked up, go to the Super Bowl. Or you want to get Denver fully stacked up to go to the Super Bowl. Okay, do that. Get some extra one-off AFC guys, and then stack 2 NFC teams to figure out who's going to try to see. But those 2 NFC teams, you're not trying to get 4 players from. You're just trying to get like quarterback 1-2, quarterback 1-2.
See, but that's almost like what we talked about with the week.
That's 3. Stuff. That's 3. You're going to get 4. There's 7. Like there's 10. Then you can try to fill it out with 3 or 4 other players. Because, like I said, I think you only get 12 to 15 players.
I think it's 12 in some formats and 15 in others. So I think that's probably why you're mixing.
And however many players you have, move on.
Right.
You get to move on into the next round. And ideally, if your team moves on to the Super Bowl, you'll have built a way of having 5 players in every round.
But it's almost like what we talked about with the Week 18 stuff with incentives. If you really believe in some of this stuff, you're probably better off just betting in the sports book, because what you're essentially doing in the playoff best ball is you're taking basically a Super Bowl matchup. You're taking the highest percentage of NFC players and the highest percentage of AFC players and hoping that you're right. And at that point, it's like I'd just rather bet who I think is going to win the Super Bowl, even laying some player props and stuff like that, especially with a boost.
Yeah, I might do that, honestly, before I do playoff best ball. I might just save my best ball money for the playoffs and make a couple of playoff like sports bets like that. Make a few futures, make a few Super Bowl bets, something like that.
So any other way you want to wrap up the season, Donnie? Anything you want to say?
We'll wrap up the season better when it's set. When the playoff bracket's set, we'll wrap it up better.
I know it's week 17, and that would normally be the end, but there is still one more week left.
Oh, that's true. See, I'm telling you, this incentive week is really messing. I basically wanted to wrap up the season. It's time to go. It's a Saturday slate because I'm very excited for the games that matter. It's the games that don't matter.
I am so upset. I have to be at work. Why couldn't you have made the Panther game on the day I don't have to work, or on the night game? Why do you have to do it at 4 o'clock? Ah!
Well,
peace out, everyone.
That's a good time to end, yeah.